Jessica.
Hi, I'm Christeena.
And you're watching Game of Tomes. Today we're going to be doing our June wrap-up. Let's start with you.
Okay.
What did you do?
So I'm not taking this out because they're hard to get out and it's just too much effort. I believe I started Hero of Ages, the third book of the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. I think I started it last month.
You did.
Yeah, I thought so. May? Is that before June? May?
Yeah.
But I finished it
Yeah.
at the beginning of June. And I really enjoyed it.
Good.
It took me a little bit to kind of like
Get into it?
Yeah. But everything just ties in so well together that it's just like there was so much to absorb.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom and I kind of read it at the same time. And when she finally finished it, she was like, "Do you want to talk about the book?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so we both, like, and she was like, "Did you cry?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, me too." So it was a lot of fun. And I'm glad I finished it.
Yeah.
And this is probably one of my favorite series ever. And it was the first books I've ever read by Brandon Sanderson. So I want to read more.
Awesome.
I think I gave 5 stars.
5 stars to the Hero of Ages?
I'm pretty sure.
And as a whole, what would you give this series?
I think 5 stars. 5 out of 5.
Wow.
I think I did 5 stars for the Final Empire, 4 for the Well of Ascension, and 5 for, so maybe 4.78, 75
Sure.
altogether.
I love it.
I don't know how that averages out.
Math.
To me, it was just so different of like magic system and everything that it was really cool. So
Good. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
thank you. Me too.
So I finished listening to Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett on audiobook, 40 hours, 55 minutes, and I loved it.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Good.
The narrator was really good. I never once was like turning it on and like, oh, I have to listen to this now.
Right.
And there's 40 hours, so there's a lot of time to listen.
Right.
And I always like was ready to pick it up. As far as a star rating, I would probably give it a 4.5.
Ooh, nice.
I think I subtracted a half a star because it ended, and I was like, tear,
Yeah.
so good. And then there was 2 more hours of audiobook left, and that part I was like, about.
Yeah.
He was like tying it in with actual events in history, and so it was almost like he was like saying this could have actually happened or something.
Okay.
And so I understand that. And in that last section, we did get some answers for some things that we had been waiting on, but I felt like that could have happened earlier on. And it was still interesting, but there was like a whole section of time where I was like, I turned it on a little faster. So anyway, it's set in medieval England, and it follows several different storylines. In it, there is being built a chapel, this huge chapel, within this giant feat of man. Like, can you imagine being in the Middle Ages and then building something like that lasts forever? Is an amazing feat in itself. And then within that broad scope, we get to see microcosms of people and events in their lives, and we get to know them and fall in love with several characters, and they're amazing villains. And just as a warning, there is some violence and sexual violence, and I mean, it was the Middle Ages, and people were not policed, as they are now. But anyway, it was amazing. I loved it.
Good.
I really did.
I'm really glad. That makes me really excited to pick it up, though.
Good.
Yeah. So the next...
We're going to talk about Jane Eyre now.
Yes.
All right.
Because we both read and finished this together.
Yes, we did.
Which was a lot of fun because I would go over to Jessica's house for like the last 60 pages or something like that. Yeah. And our boys would run around and play, and we would take turn reading paragraphs out loud. And it really helped me push through it because... did not enjoy this.
Oh, and I hate that we didn't, because we wanted to. And listen, when we first started out, we were telling everybody, oh my gosh, we love Jane Eyre so much, it's so good, we're so happy that we're reading it.
The first half was like so good.
Yeah. And
I just lost interest.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Mm-mm. We didn't like any of her love interests, like, at all.
Jane is pretty much the only character that I kind of even liked.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for
It wasn't for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of likable characters in this.
No. And, I mean, you don't have to have likable characters to enjoy a story,
Well,
but
no,
it was like,
right.
they were uninteresting to us.
Yeah, and Buddy read this with our friend Megan over at the Paperback Artist, and she couldn't connect with any characters either. When I really thoroughly love a book is when I can connect with characters.
Yeah.
And so I think that had some to do with not really enjoying this, but like the first half I loved it. And then it just kind of like, things started happening that I wasn't that interested in, and there's a love story, basically. It is kind of a love story, and I didn't expect that, and so it's kind of like, I wanted to enjoy this so badly.
Me too, yeah. We gave it 2 stars, both of us did.
Yeah.
Which means it was okay.
It was okay.
It was okay.
They touched on some things that I thought were, like, really interesting, and I thought they could go more into that. Personally, I wanted to know more about that, and then it was just, like, very briefly, this happened, you know, and I was like, you know, I kind of wanted to know more about that, but, that's okay. You know, it's alright.
2 stars.
I'm glad I read it, finally.
Me too.
So,
I like her writing style.
Yeah.
Until we got to, like, page after page after page of dialogue.
So,
but that first half, though,
I loved it.
We were like,
so good.
We were like enjoying the writing, and it was easy to understand.
Yeah, because that's the thing with classics is, you know, sometimes they get into that style of dialogue that it just loses you.
Yeah.
And in the first half, I was like,
we can understand this.
There was like maybe 1 or 2 parts, you know,
like a couple of words, and we could figure out by the context clues what she was talking about. But then, like, Mr. Rochester comes on the scene, and then they have like this long conversation at one point, and it was like, what are they even talking about right now?
I just read it just to like read it and be done with that section, because I was like, as many times as I try to reread it, like I don't fully understand what you guys are talking about right now.
Right.
2 stars.
2 stars. We are both members of a book club, and for that reason, we both read Every Day by David Levithan.
It's a young adult.
It is. On audiobook. When I heard saw that it was young adult, we were like, oh, because we've not been, I mean, we'll read young adult, and there's a lot of excellent young adult out there, but we just haven't been wanting to.
Sometimes I'm leery of romances in young adults.
Yeah, it's, okay, and this one was no exception. I felt like it was, like, the most insta-lovey you could have possibly gotten.
Yeah, it was, yes.
Like,
should we maybe say what it's about?
Sure.
First?
Sure. So it is about this person, this entity or soul, this consciousness.
Yeah, if you will.
Without a gender. I would say maybe gender fluid even. Without a gender? Anyways, who every day... And she... I keep saying she because the narrator...
I always wanted to say he.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, the narrator was a woman.
Yes.
And so I keep thinking
I really enjoyed her voice.
She was an excellent narrator.
I really, really enjoyed her.
Me too. So every day, this consciousness goes into another body. And takes their life over just for one day.
Yeah.
And every day, there's somebody different. And then she finds in the very beginning, or he, this person that is inside of someone else's body, gets put into the body of a boy, a teenager, who has a girlfriend, and the girlfriend is, like, kind of afraid of him.
Yeah, he's not a nice guy.
So anyway, the head person, can I say their name? They have a name that is revealed.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I think that's fine. That'd be easier than... I don't think that's spoilery.
No. Okay, so this person calls themselves A.
Yeah.
Okay, so A falls in love with Justin's girlfriend. Every day they're in somebody's body, and A is always trying to find her.
Yeah, and so it just kind of goes from there, and it is, of course, like a love story. I really enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would.
Mm-hmm. It was very good. Very entertaining.
Very entertaining. Mm-hmm. And it actually deals with quite a lot of stuff. Like, A ends up in the body of a girl who is planning out to kill herself. Mm-hmm. It has a notebook, different ways to do everything. A doesn't want to do anything drastic to anyone or anyone's life. So A tries to kind of fly under the radar and not make any major decisions for this person, obviously.
And then A has to decide whether or not to intervene in that person's planning of their suicide. A is also in the body of like an extremely obese teenager,
a drug addict,
and gay and lesbian couple.
Yes, and transgendered. And so I actually was really happy that the author did that and chose to portray the different types, you know. There's so many different people.
And
I thought
ethnicities that was, even.
Yes, yeah. And so it was really good.
I thought so too. I gave it 4 stars.
I did as well.
Okay.
A very solid 4 stars for me. Yeah, it was really good.
Cool. Let's talk about what we are currently reading.
Sure.
Okay, so we're both listening to currently The First 15 Lives of Harry August by Claire North, narrated by Peter Kenny. So it's really cool. It's about a gentleman, an English gentleman who lives in the 20s, and then he lives out a full life, and then he wakes up again, and he's living his life over, and he remembers everything from his previous life. And then that keeps happening. And it's really fascinating, very well written. We are having a little trouble like getting into it or getting hooked. Part of that for me is the narrator. He has a kind of a soft, it's a deep voice, but it's like he talks a little soft and kind of dramatic, and it's hard to hear when I'm doing things.
Yeah.
And so I find myself like tuning out, which is not something I normally do when I'm listening to audiobooks. So I think I'm not going to listen to I think I'm going to DNF it for now. Actually, honestly.
Well, because I listened to it, I started it yesterday and listened to it basically almost all day while I was cleaning and getting stuff done. And a lot of it, I found myself tuning it out. And so, like, honestly, where it's at, I'm kind of following along, but I didn't pay attention to half of it, so I think I need to...
But like I said,
I want to come back to it.
I do too. But I think when I get it, like a good speaker or something is when I'm going to get it, and so I can turn it up. Like, I can listen to it in my car because my speakers get high.
Yeah, but it also has, for us with kids, it also has language in it. And so it's one of those things where we can't listen to it around the kids.
And not just language, but like violence and adult themes.
Yeah.
And of like suicide and things that I wouldn't want my 5-year-old to listen to.
Yeah.
So I do want to come back to it. I don't think I'm going to continue for now.
A really interesting concept, I think.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's a little detached because Harry is telling you this story from many years ago. So there's like a bit of a distance there where I think if he had told it as, and then I was born again, like, holy crap.
Like as it was happening.
But what he's doing is he's giving you pieces of all of his lives to build in this story, and I'm not sure exactly where it's going to go, but it's excellent, I think. So what else are you reading?
I also picked up Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. It's a utopian future where everybody is grown.
Yes.
You know? And they're conditioned to be in their own classes. Like, you have the lower classes and the upper class and alpha, beta, gamma, delta, you know. It's, I'm enjoying it so far. The first couple chapters, I was like, trying to follow along with dialogue that was, like, taking place by different people at different times at different places. And so it was like, ooh, but, it started into a storyline, because then I would, like, flip to the next chapter, and it was, like, part 1. So I was like, okay, alright, I'm just going to try and make it till there. And now it's kind of more in just, like, a dialogue and normal storyline. So.
I thought that first section that you're talking about was more interesting than the rest of it.
Did you really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, alright, I'm going to give it a shot.
Cool, good.
I need to.
Alright, Lester.
Cool.
Okay, so for
20th anniversary
of Harry Potter, thank you.
You're welcome.
I read the first chapter of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone
Illustrated.
But what? So, in celebration. and I really enjoyed it. And I'm excited to finish, which I want to do, and I think I will pick it up again after we start Memoirs of a Geisha. We're doing a buddy read with Nicole from Who Picked This Book, and we're starting that
tomorrow
on the 1st of July.
Yep.
And which is tomorrow, currently, where we are.
Yes.
This is the 30th of July.
And I'm really excited
June.
for that.
Yes, me too. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to wrap up this wrap up?
Yes.
Okay. When you play the game of tomes.
You read or you die.
Come here, friends. The social media links in the description below.
And we hope you're reading a great book.
Bye.
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 Bye. Okay, we did it!
Yeah!